Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today I'm going to show you how to make a little pine cone stone fairy house. So we have pine cones and a stone and polymer clay. That's what we're going to be using to sculpt the features of the fairy house. Now before we start, we're going to want to seal the stone. There's a number of ways to do that. I'm using Golden's GAC 100, which is just happens to be a product that I like a lot and use, but it is not the only product you can use. You can use preferably any kind of sealant that will make it less porous, make the stone less porous, that you can paint on or spray on, like polyurethane, varnish, lacquer, other acrylic products. I like this acrylic product because it dries quickly and it doesn't make a lot of changes to the surface of the stone. You could also paint it, but the only problem with that is if you paint it, you won't be able to see the features of the stone so well, the color and all that. So, and this just dries really quickly, and you definitely want to wash your brush. I have a little bit of water here, and wash my brush really good. So that's that. Now, the pine cones, my pine cones I found in my neighborhood yesterday. Actually, I went looking for them because I wanted to do this project. These pine cones have been around since autumn. It's now winter, so they're really dry. And when they're really dry like this, the tines come right out. It's really not a problem. But if you find that you're getting a lot of resistance when you're pulling the tines out, you also can cut them out with a pair of scissors. It takes a little bit longer, but it definitely works. So you can do it that way as well. If you don't have a source outdoors for finding your own pine cones, you can search that online, pine cones for craft projects or something like that, and be able to find pine cones online. Now, if you're using this kind of pine cone, it's this size pine cone, you're going to need about 3 of these for this project, for this size stone pine cone house. So just put these over here, and while that's drying, I'm going to start getting ready with the clay here. I have, I'm using obviously polymer clay. Now to answer a couple questions that are probably there. Will the oven hurt the stone and the pine cones? It has been my experience, no, it won't. The oven just doesn't get hot enough. For the Sculpey 3 that we're using, the baking temperature is 275 degrees for far less than an hour, about 40 minutes or so, and it's just not hot enough to hurt. Now, if there's pitch, this white stuff you see, if there's pitch on the pine cone, it will melt it for sure, and you should bake it on like tin foil or something like that, so it doesn't drip all over your oven or your cookware. So, but no, it won't. It's not. It shouldn't hurt the stone or the pine cones when you bake it. Now, I'm rolling this out on the table here because if you roll it this way, this is going to be for the door frame and the window frame. If you roll it like this, it'll stay fairly uniform, and that's what we want. So just rolling it lightly and then moving your hand back and forth along the length of the noodle, basically, that we're creating here. And like that. So I definitely want to try to get that as uniform as possible. And if it's too long, you can always cut it if you need to. And so then we got that, and the stone is about dry now. Now, if you sealed your stone 2 weeks ago, and you're coming back now that you have some time to make your little fairy house, keep in mind that you might want to seal it again, because it's I've noticed that a fresh sealing is a good idea. Somehow it tends to become porous over time again or something, because I do notice that. So I've got the stone here. It's pretty much dry, and I'm going to take the noodle of clay and just put it to the shape I want on the stone, and then press it into place like that. Not too hard, because if you press really, really hard, it will deform the clay. And then cut off the excess like that, and just make sure it's seated well onto the stone. Move that out of the way, and then then you have to create a little door to go in there that we can work on to carve and shape. So I just take a little piece of clay like this, squeeze it semi-flat, and put it in there, and then press it in, and kind of draw it down with my thumb so it's going up against the door frame. I actually did something like this, almost the same thing, but without a pinecone roof, on my YouTube channel a while back, and it's the views are just climbing. The only difference is it's no talking. It has music in the background, and it's high-speed film. It's going by very quickly, but people love that video. And so now what I'm going to do is I like to imagine that my doors usually are made up of old wood planking, and so I'm just putting in the definition for that now by using this sharper tool. And then just going back and making sure that it's good, the detail is done well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small piece of clay, very small noodle shape, and get a small paintbrush like this. And you'll see me frequently do this on my doors. I'm going to take the piece of clay and wrap it around that handle like that, and pinch off the end, and then blend the two ends together. If you've never done this, it takes a minute, to get used to it. And then with the back of the brush to the door, set it to where I want it, and then push it onto the door, and then just smooth it out. This makes a little door ring. Sometimes little details like this can make a world of difference in the pieces that you do. And then you can take another little piece of clay like this, and roll a small noodle like this, and put that on top of the ring like that, and you can take a back end of a paintbrush and seed it in there. So it looks like the bracket, it's a bracket holding the ring in place. Just really kind of a cute little detail thing that you can do. Now I'm going to take the noodle that I had rolled earlier, and go ahead and run it around to create the round for a window. Blend the ends together. And then take your time and just move it around and get it to you know, be nice and round. And you can go on the inside of the window and do the same thing by just using your tool to get it nice and round that way. And then you can take a small noodle of clay and put it on the inside to divide the lights of the window. Just take your time, be patient. Your hands may not work as well as mine, keeping in mind that I do this every day. It may take you a little bit of time to get used to it, but you'll get it if you practice. And then you can take another piece and two more pieces, drop them in on either side, whoops, there we go. Like that. For small detail like this, you should try to use tools, but for bigger things, you should use your hands as much as possible to get them used to doing the work. Now you can take a thicker noodle of clay like this, roll a ball to start, and then roll it into a noodle. If you find that rolling between your fingers is hard, you can do it between the palms of your hands instead. And this will be for a threshold for the door. That could also help the door to stand up straight. Blend it in at the bottom. It stands up straight that way. Okay, that's kind of where it should be at this point. And now I'm going to start the roof. Push this out of the way, and what I do is I, of course, conditioning the clay is really important. That mixes everything up on the inside of it. So whenever you pull clay off the block, you definitely want to try to do that. Then you can roll it into a ball between the palms of your hands like this. And this is a good starting point for the sculpting technique that I'm teaching, which is simple shapes, which is forming shapes out of clay and assembling them to form figures and structures. The rolling, it also gets all the imperfections out, so it's nice and smooth. It's just a good starting point. Then what I'm doing is I'm holding my hands at an angle like this and rolling it, so it's becoming a cone shape, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers like this, so it doesn't deform the clay. I'm going to start squeezing and pinching, which will flare out the bottom and make it bigger. I'm also squeezing the opposite way, this way, and that's making it more oval. So squeezing like this. I'm going to fit it to the house and see if it fits okay. And then what I'm going to do is, before I join it, I'm going to take a piece of a sculpting tool like this. And you can use soft clay also to help with the joining, but this also works pretty good. So you score it like this. Okay, and then put it on the house and just kind of twist it. Twisting and pushing down at the same time will help it to get seated onto the roof really good. Now you can shape the roof to when you put your pine cones on, it will follow the shape, whatever shape you create with the clay. See, just like I did that. And then we'll get some pine cones, pine cone tines. Now the nice thing about doing it this way is there's no glue or messiness, or it's not even very frustrating. It's very, pretty easy little project to do. Holding the tine like this so that the concave part is on the bottom, you can insert it into the clay about that far, and then just get another one and do that next to it. You can press down the clay above it where it joins the pine cone to kind of make sure it's nice and tight. And you should probably go around the entire roof to you know, get one whole row done before you move on to the next. Like that. And you know, it is okay if they're haphazard. You know, they're up and down, or because it is a fairy house. Now, for design, for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to go all the way around, but you want to go all the way around before you start the next row, and then you want to offset it. So see, there's one, there's another, one tine, two tines. You want your next row to start in the center there, like that. Sometimes they break. You can hold on to the roof to keep it steady. If you're applying a lot of pressure, you might knock the clay off the roof. Just hold it like I'm holding it here, see? I'm going to take, there's a little bit of clay down here showing. I'm just going to take that and cut it back a little bit. And then I'll just terminate this right here. And then you can just form it and adjust it to where you want it. Now you should go back and make sure everything's nice and smooth. You can use a brush with a little bit of water to take out fingerprints and that sort of thing. Any rough areas. You can also use rubbing alcohol, and you can also cut rubbing alcohol with water to make it a little less invasive. I think the cut is something that you would want to decide for yourself, that you practice with and that sort of thing, because I think it's just different what people want and like. It just depends on the person, really. I don't usually cut it that much. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put a finish on it, and you can use whatever colors you want. This is Pearl Pigments. The reason why I use black clay is because these finishes look really good on black clay. So this is, it looks like pink, but it's actually blue. And it's a powder that you apply. And you can just use a brush. The best thing to do is when you're dipping into it is just touch it into it rather than submerging the brush in it. and put a little bit on like the lid that comes with it. And I'm going to put this on the door. Pull it up here closer to you. So this is a pearlescent finish color, and it will, when the light's hitting it, it might look blue, it might look purple. It's kind of a pretty color. And then I'm going to use, so this is Duo Red Blue. This one is called Duo Red Blue. And then this one is called Spring Green. And I'm just going to get some into the lid. And it's a pretty color too. I'm going to put this on the door frame. And I'm going to put it on the window. This is really, it looks like it could be a hard project, but it really is not that hard. Not really at all. Now I'm going to, what I do is I have a rag in my lap and I just wipe the brushes off in between colors. Here, this also this this finish Pearl Pigments, it goes very far. A jar is under, I think, around $6, and it will last a very long time because it just doesn't require much. So that's on the little ring there, and then I'm going to put it on the base as well, the threshold for the door. And there we go. It's a fun and easy project, and you'll come up with something pretty unique. I don't see many of these around, that's for sure. Now, baking this is actually very simple. The baking instructions will be in the video description, and we'll tell you exactly what to do. There's also in the video description, there's going to be a tool and supply list. There's going to be some sources for different things like maybe pine cones and that sort of thing. There's going to be a link to a couple of my videos that tell you how to smooth polymer clay. And any other support information or suggested videos will be in there as well. Video description below the video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos along these lines. And please rate the video, tell me what you think of it, and leave a comment for me. If you have trouble leaving a comment, you can also email me. My email address is in the About section of my channel page. Thanks so much, and have a great day.